Good morning. So our second session on improvement in food resources. So in our yesterday's class, we discussed in food resources, what are resources, what are the different nutrients required for our body for growth and development, and basically why we have to improve the food resources, and if we are improving it, how we are improving it, the different techniques, the different methods. We also understood about the different cropping pattern or the different cropping seasons, because if you know that, the yield can be better, the crop production can be better. We also understood about the two different revolutions which were taken, or which were revolutions, that is green revolution and white revolution. Green revolution started by Dr. Swaminathan, which was to about enhance the variety or the yield of crops across the country. And white revolution was about enhancing the production of milk. So we discussed in this chapter about both agriculture as well as animal husbandry. How is the production and how is the yield, and how to improvise the yield and production, because food resource is required by everybody, all living organisms. Since our population is increasing, there is more and more demand which is increasing. So we look for quantity, along with that a good quality of food resource also. So when we discussed about the food resources and about its quality and quantity, about the cropping pattern, we understand that the approaches which enhance the crop yield are, we discussed that in yesterday's class, which are those crop variety improvement. And when we understand the variety of crops, then we know now what is a crop to be grown. Once we understand what crop has to be grown, our next step is to produce it, enhance it. That means how in bulk or in a good quality I can produce it. That is crop production improvement. Then next, once the crop production is done, so in an acre these many of the crops are grown, I should also know that, I in the sense the farmer, the one who is growing this, should know that how to protect the crops, right? Crop protection improvement. Crop protection improvement not only happens in the field, it also happens after harvesting. So once you harvest the crop, how to protect them from rodents, insect, microorganisms, etc. We will be studying about that in detail in the agricultural sector. The next session, as we discussed, will be on the animal husbandry. So the first one we will be discussing crop variety improvement. So how to bring about a crop variety improvement? For example, nowadays seeds are available in market. There is more of trend nowadays to have a terrace garden, right? So you go to a market to bring the seeds. You get tomato seeds, you get any vegetables or anything, you get seeds, right? So when you go to bring the seeds, or do that once, so that you will come to know. So the person will ask you, which quality seed do you want? Now again, so I am not telling you in detail about the seeds here, but still they do have a quality of seeds, right? They do have a brand, type A, type B. And when now we go to market to buy our dresses, also we have different brands. What does the brand tell us? Each brand has its own value, right? Higher the brand is, the higher the price what we pay. Similarly, so we have a different type variety of crops, right? You should know which type of crop you have to choose. That means which type of seeds you have to choose. Now, how to choose a better seed? If I take a simple seed and I just sow that, I might get a better yield. But for example, if that seed did not grow, that gave me a dwarf plant, or the fruits were not good. So what will happen? The next offspring, when the plant will give, that will again continue. That means the first season or the first generation plant, what fruits and seeds it has given, the same type of yield I will be getting it in the very next season itself, right? So what will happen here? It will hamper both the quality as well as the quantity. So what best we can do is, we can actually choose the quality of the seeds. But to choose the quality of the seed, the process what we do over here is hybridization, or we simply call it as a cross pollination. Now what is pollination? Pollination is crossbreeding or the cross or intermixing of two seeds of genetically dissimilar type. Now I can't be mixing the same type of seeds, right? Assume that I have got a tomato seed of type A only. So I can't be cross-pollinating type A seeds only. That means I have to genetically dissimilar species. Type C it might be, right? So I have to cross-breed that with the type C so that I get a better yield. So how do we define hybridization here? Hybridization, it is the process of crossing between two or more genetically. It is not only one extra seed, it can be two or more, but genetically dissimilar. Not only dissimilar. See, there is a difference. If I tell you, it is a process of crossing between two or more dissimilar plant. That means I can't be crossbreeding tomato and brinjal, right? I have to crossbreed tomato seeds only along with the genetically dissimilar seeds. So genetically, the second seed also should be of a tomato breed only. Now example one tomato I have taken here. So genetically dissimilar plant to produce a new variety with the good properties of both the crops. Or good properties of both the crops means type A, let us consider, has some properties. Type B has some properties. Suppose you have chosen type C also. Type C has some other qualities, right? So all together it will give. Now what could be the quality? Now one could be the size. Type A will give you bigger tomatoes, right? Type B, what it will do is, sometimes you go to a market to buy tomatoes, right? So you go to a mall. You have one crate filled of tomatoes which are pale orangish color, greenish orange color, and another crate filled with completely orange or reddish tomatoes. Which one do you prefer? Definitely you prefer for a reddish one, and which are bigger ones, right? So the color attracts. Example which I gave you. So if I cross-pollinate all type A, type B and type C, what I might get? So type A is giving me the size one is very big. Type B is giving me the color of the tomatoes, and type C is giving me a better yield than that, right? So this is just an example. What is hybridization? But if I go only for one seed, I might get a pale green or a pale orange tomatoes there, right? So it is a process of crossing between two or more genetically dissimilar plant to produce a new variety with good properties of both the crops. It should have again the properties of both the crops in it. So when we check for this hybridization, now what all these properties should be possessed in that to improvise seeds. Now I gave you just one basic example about color, size and the production, right? But there are certain properties to be possessed by the improved seeds. What we actually look in that. So when I go to crossbreed type A, type B and type C, there are certain factors which actually we should know. Exactly not we, the farmer should know. What are those? High yield, higher yield, improved quality, biotic and abiotic resistance, wider adaptability and desired agronomic traits. So these 5 characters or these 5 conditions or these 5 things what we actually look into a seed when we go for hybridization, or we can say when we go for cross pollination, or we simply say the word as pollination here. So let us understand these properties of these improved seeds one by one. Now the first one, it should get a higher yield. Now higher yield in the sense, the production of the crops what I have chosen, the seeds what I have chosen, per acre I should get a better yield. Now for example, I have sown the rice. Now after I harvest it, I usually get 1 quintal, you assume that, okay. Usual seeds what we had used. Now what we have done, we have chosen the hybridization technique here. We have pollinated with 2 or 3 different breeds. That means my yield per acre will enhance to 2 quintals or 1.5 quintal. That even extra 1 quintal is also fetching me money there, right? Because I have chosen a good yield. So the type of seed what we choose is, it is not only that it should provide me a good good crops. Along with that, the yield also should be very good. Apart from what usually I get, I have to get a bit extra than that. Second one, improvised quality. Now, improvised quality. Now, best example if I have to give you, let's take tomatoes again. Now, usually what is the shelf life of a tomato? Now, you get it, or sometimes when you bring it from a mall or a market to your house, what happens? They already get crushed, right? Or by the time the farmer loads it, unloads it to a place, and then you bring it, or the time it is there in the market only, half the tomatoes are ripened, almost they are ripened, right? So, what best we have to see in that? The shelf life also. So that probably the tomatoes right from the field we have harvested it, from there it is gone for loading it, then unloading it to the different places, then what we bring to our house also, they remain good, right? They don't crush. So that is a shelf life, what we call. The shelf life should be very good. Otherwise the farmer will harvest it today. Tomorrow by the time he is loading it, half the tomatoes are ripened. What will he do? Those are waste, right? So improvised quality. Quality in the sense we look for a shelf life of the particular crop. Biotic and abiotic resistance. Now when we talk about biotic, biotic is living, abiotic is non-living. So let's take the human beings example first. Now we get a common cold, right? Common cold, flu, fever, anything. That means our body, biotic resistance, what we talk about. Why? Because organisms, bacteria which are there in our body. So what is happening? We immediately catch cold. The person sitting next to me, he has a cold, I also catch cold. My biotic resistance is not good. That means my immune system is not strong. We discussed about this. Now when we talk about abiotic resistance, so there is no bacteria or anything, but I go in a very hot sun, or I get drenched in a rain, I fall sick. That means I am not as well resistant to abiotic factors, right? This should not happen to everybody. It only happens to few because of their immune system. Either of abiotic means rain, temperature, all this will come. Biotic is all organisms. So when we go with the crop pattern, yielding pattern, so we see that the crops what we are growing are resistant to biotic and abiotic factors. That means they are free from pests, worms, insects, etc. Also, they can withstand the high temperature, that is summer, or it is a rainfall also. We see that the crops which are growing, sometimes we get to hear that heavy rains washed away all the crops, or slightly drizzled, but still all the crops are gone, right? So the type of seed what we choose, the once they start growing, that should have a good resistance power to both biotic and abiotic. It should not catch. Now sometimes you grow a rose, grow a rose plant or something, it catches worms, insects or something. That should not happen. What will happen? The yield will come down if it catches worms, insects or anything. So we look for biotic and abiotic resistance in the yield what we choose. Wider adaptability. Now wider adaptability means we human beings go to any place, we get adjusted, right? That's our nature. We get adjusted to any atmosphere, anything around us. So that is how we are brought in about. Similarly, now certain plants can grow only in certain condition, or they can grow only in a particular soil. Like say cotton can grow in a black soil only, they say. Or sometimes groundnuts are also grown in black soil, but some in red soil also. But the yield is very good in black than in red, they say, right? So generally when we talk about the soil, a particular crop is suitable only for a particular soil. So wider adaptability means choose a seed in such a way that gets adapted to any given condition. That means any given soil. So its yield is the same if you grow that in a black soil or a red soil, right? So that will not hamper its growth or yield. Wider adaptability of the crops. It has to get adjusted to any environment condition given. Example, what we can say. The last one, desired agronomic traits. Traits means characteristics. Like we say, we get the traits from our parents to offspring. That is the heredity part which flows from one offspring to another. Desired agronomic traits. That means here traits is nothing but height of the yield grown, leaves grown, how big are the leaves, how small are the leaves, we look for. Now for example, if I am growing rice or paddy or wheat, I will basically not look that it has to grow very tall or the leaves should be very broad. I don't look into a rice yield in that manner. Why? Because my concern in rice and wheat are the grains. I am not looking for the height of the rice thing or the leaves over there, right? How long or how broad are the leaves? They are not much use to me. But what is what I require there? I look for the grains. Are the grains good? Are the grains are giving me a better yield, right? Because if the rice plants starts growing taller, what will happen? It requires more and more nutrients. But I don't want that. I only want a dwarf rice plant, or you can say the rice yield or a wheat yield, but provided it should give me a good grains, right? That is one condition. Now second thing, when I look for fodder crops. Now what are fodder crops? The crops used by cattle for eating. Those are known as fodder crops. So when I look for fodder crops, I see that they have a very good height. They should not grow dwarf, because as the height, that means the yield is good. The cattle is getting good amount of feed, correct? So there we look for a good height. The leaf should be broad, the leaf should be big. That we look. So that is desired agronomic traits. What we look is the type of seed we have chosen. It should have an agronomic trait, a particular trait what actually is suitable for that. Now we human beings, we grow to a particular height, say about 6. So usually men, adults grow to 6'2", 6'3". But what if you start growing 6'5", 6'8"? No, right? That is not a, what do you say, agronomic trait. That is something beyond that what you are growing. We don't look for that. Similarly here in seeds, we want a particular trait for a particular plant only. Now when we see a coconut tree, we want a coconut tree tall. We see a mango tree. Now again, there are different techniques. There are certain farms where you have even the small mango trees. That thing is completely different. But basically when we check in the field, that's about rice, paddy, yield and all, we look for a better yield of the crops, not the height of the given crops, right? So these are the properties which a seed has to possess or to have an improvised pattern, growing pattern. Both if the quality of the seed chosen is good, then it should all, not only that, it should also fulfill these conditions, then we'll have a better yield. All this will go hand in hand. So this is good, so everything will support each other. That means we are getting a good yield per acre, how much ever we were supposed to get. So this is about what approaches we enhance for the crop yield. The first one, crop variety improvement. So by looking at these factors, we can improvise the crop variety improvement. In tomorrow's class, we will understand once we fulfill these conditions, how the production improvement should be done. See, we have chosen our best seed, right? So we have pollinated it, we have taken good care by pollinating, we also understood the conditions before pollinating. What are these conditions? Will it fulfill? Yes. After fulfilling this, we sow the seeds. Now once the seeds are sown, what next we have to see? The production. How good production should be. How is the production then done? We should take care that a good manure or fertilizer is given. Now what is good? Manure is good or fertilizer is good. In both the ways, how are the crops grown? If you are giving fertilizers, what are the different fertilizers, right? Now as we say, we require macronutrients and micronutrients for our body for a better growth and development. Plants also or crops also require these macro and micronutrients, but not the one which we consume, much wider than that we require. We'll see about that under crop production improvement in our next class. So in today's class, if you have any doubt, please call on the same day of the video set. Thank you.